the girl everyone admired. From the moment Nalara stepped into the marketplace of her village, conversations softened, eyes followed, and admiration lingered in the air. Her beauty was the kind that silenced envy. It felt almost unreal, as if the ancestors themselves had blessed her face. Skin smooth and glowing like polished bronze, eyes deep and bright like the river under the midday sun, and a smile that seemed to carry both kindness and mystery. People often whispered that she was chosen. Elders said her beauty would one day bring honor to the land. Men tried to win her affection with gifts, women praised her grace, and even children paused in their play to look at her, as if she were a living goddess from an old tale. But Nalara had one ritual she never missed. Every evening, before the moon rose high, she would sit before an ancestral mirror, a relic passed down from her great-grandmother. Nalara stumbled back from the mirror, her hand pressed against her chest as if to steady her racing heart. The words had been soft, almost like a hiss carried by the evening wind, but they came from the mirror, she was sure of it. She leaned forward again, her breath misting the glass. For a moment, her reflection was normal. The glowing skin, the river-deep eyes, the beauty everyone praised. But as she blinked, the reflection shifted once more. This time, the face in the mirror looked the same, yet not. The eyes grew darker, hollow, as if hiding a secret. The smile twisted into something sharp, almost mocking. "Who are you?" Nalara whispered, her voice trembling. The reflection did not answer, only tilted its head, the way a trickster spirit might when it knows something you don't. Then slowly, a crack formed across the glass. The following morning, Nalara tried to brush off the strange vision. The sun was warm, the village alive with laughter, and admirers greeted her with the same glowing smiles as always. Women selling spices offered her extra herbs for free. Hunters returning from the forest lowered their gazes out of respect. Children followed her, giggling, as if she were a queen in disguise. But behind every smile, Nalara began to notice something unsettling. Their eyes lingered too long. Their voices sounded distant, like echoes inside a cave. It was as if the mirror's whisper had planted a seed of doubt, and now her beauty no longer felt like a blessing. It felt like a mask. By midday, she found herself avoiding their stares. She walked faster, her wrapper swishing against her ankles, until she reached her grandmother's hut at the edge of the village. In a dimly lit hut, Nalara's grandmother reaches for her staff and taps the floor 3 times, calling on unseen spirits. That mirror was carved by our ancestors not to flatter, but to reveal. It shows the spirit beneath the skin. Those who dare to look into it must be ready to face what others cannot see, her grandmother said, seriously. Nalara's hands tremble in her lap as she listens. "But why me, grandmother? Why would the mirror speak to me?" Nalara asked, anxious. The old woman studies Nalara, then sighs deeply. Because beauty draws not only admiration but also danger. There are spirits that feed on vanity. They love faces like yours, child. They cling to you like shadows and hide behind your reflection. The mirror does not lie. It shows their presence, her grandmother replied solemnly. A chill sweeps through Nalara, recalling her reflections as that night, Nalara lit a small oil lamp and placed it before the mirror. The flame flickered, casting restless shadows on the carved frame. Her heart pounded as she forced herself to meet her own gaze. At first, she saw only herself, the perfect skin, the radiant eyes, the smile that made others weak with wonder. But as the silence stretched, her reflection's face began to ripple, as though water had touched the glass. Slowly, another face pushed through hers. The features were distorted, sharp, and hollow. Its skin was ash gray, its eyes black pools with no end. Where her lips usually curved with warmth, the other smile was cruel and hungry. The 2 faces, hers and the spirit's, merged and separated, as if struggling for control. Nalara stumbled back, but the mirror held her, pulling her eyes with invisible force. They admire For the first time in her life, Nalara dreaded the dawn. She rose from her mat with heavy eyes, her chest still tight from the spirit's voice echoing in her mind. She wrapped herself in bright cloth, hoping the colors might shield her from the unease, and stepped into the village. But the whispers had already begun. "Do you see her eyes today? They look strange," someone murmured. "Her beauty is fading," another said softly. Yet when Nalara glanced at their faces, she saw nothing but admiration, the same odd gazes as always. It was her ears, not theirs, that heard the cracks in their voices. By midday, things grew worse. She passed by a pool of water and paused. The surface rippled gently in the breeze, reflecting the sky, the trees, and her face. But when she leaned closer, the reflection shifted. It was the spirit again. By dawn, Nalara could no longer bear it. The spirit's whispers clung to her like smoke, its shadow flickering in the corners of her vision. She knew she could not face this alone. So she went to the forest, following a narrow path few dared to take. Birds fell silent as she passed, and the air grew heavy with the smell of damp earth. At the edge of an ancient baobab tree sat Okai, the oldest seer of the land, a man said to know the language of spirits. Okai's eyes, clouded but sharp with inner sight, turned to her before she even spoke. "You carry two faces," he said in a low voice. "One the world loves, and one it was never meant to see." Nalara's breath caught. "Then you know what haunts me?" The seer nodded slowly. He traced a circle in the dirt with his staff. "The spirit you saw is not new. It has lived in your bloodline for generations." Nalara returned to her hut with a small clay bowl filled with sacred water, dried herbs, and a single black feather given to her by Okai. The seer's instructions echoed in her mind. The seer had told her, in a mysterious voice, "Look into the mirror and speak to the shadow within you. Only by acknowledging it can you weaken it." Her hands shook as she set the bowl before the mirror. She lit a tiny fire of incense, the smoke curling like silver serpents. The flame flickered, and the mirror's surface shimmered unnaturally, as though it sensed her intent. Nalara said, determined, "I see you. I know you are part of me. You hide behind my beauty and feed on the world's gaze, but I will not let you control me." The reflection wavered. The spirit's hollow eyes glared, the cruel smile stretching wider. It pressed closer to the surface. At first, Nalara thought she had won. The whispers faded, the shadow no longer hovered at her side, and when she passed through the village, she felt lighter, freer. Yet something had changed. People no longer stared in awe when she walked by. Their gazes lingered only a moment before drifting elsewhere. The women at the market greeted her politely, but without the admiration that once filled their voices. Even the children, who used to giggle and follow her like a queen, now barely noticed her. Her beauty had not vanished. Her face was still radiant, her eyes still bright, but the spell it cast over others had broken. One evening, she stood before the mirror again, searching for answers. Her reflection looked back calmly, no distortion, no cruel smile, but her heart ached. "Is this the price?" she whispered. "To be free, I must lose the admiration I once had?" The mirror, the hiss in the shadows grew stronger with each passing night. Though Nalara had weakened the spirit, it lingered, waiting, feeding on the smallest flickers of doubt. Sometimes when she caught her reflection in water or polished metal, she saw its eyes staring back, hungry, patient. At last, Nalara returned to Okai, her steps heavy with fear. The seer listened in silence, then spoke. "You have two paths, child. You can restore what was taken, summon the spirit again, let it wrap you in the beauty that enslaves the eyes of others. You will be worshipped, envied, adored, but the shadow will grow until it consumes you entirely." Or, he paused, his voice soft as wind through dry leaves. "You can choose to live free. Your beauty will be yours alone, unshackled from the spirit. People may not admire you as before, but those who remain will see your soul, not just your face."